Well, welcome everybody. We'll go ahead and get started. We gave everybody 2 minutes to join, and it is us four today. Not a big deal. Plenty of
Right
people
on.
watching the recording in our wonderful membership site that Ben has put his fingers all over. So thanks, Ben, for always putting that in there. So last week we went into some finance stuff, especially accounts receivable, accounts payable. Now, one of the biggest headaches we see a lot in finance, which is a starting point we've been involved with many companies, is failed payments, collections, how to recapture money, dollars you thought you were going to receive but haven't received yet. The bigger you get, the bigger your product gets. You start offering payment plans for people. It's no longer a $95 product. It's no longer a $495 product. It's maybe it's $1,000 product. So now you're offering 3 pays. You do a big event. You think you're getting $1 million from this big event, but you actually only had $500,000 in cash collected, the rest in future receivables that you're going to hope to get. But what happens, as this will always happen, is people's payment fails. And so one of the places we plug into a lot with different companies is they're just bleeding that money. Nobody's got eyes on it. Nobody's checking it out. They know the money's not being received. They can see all the failed charges in Stripe. They know nobody has time for it, but they know that's their money. And all they got to do is reach out to the people or even just let them know their payment failed. Maybe they don't even know their payment failed. Failed payments don't show up on people's statements. Only successful payments do. So they're not going to realize, oh, that payment failed, let me take care of it, unless you tell them. So we're going to go into some of the processes in that. Second part of today will be around disputes. So other way that you can be bleeding money and the different reasons people are disputing, how to respond to it, some tools, some resources to apply to that as well. So that's going to take us through today's meeting. Ben's going to be, comboing this with me as he's been helping out some of the accounts receivable, collections, failed payment processes, and reportings. So, we're going to jump right into that. Let's hit it, Ben. What do you got for us next on this conversation? Oh, sip of water.
Yeah, I would add to that. Especially when it comes to sales, owners, CEOs, visionaries, salespeople, they are great and they love seeing those front-facing numbers, like sold a product, bam, cash incoming. Everybody loves to see it. I mean, it's exciting, especially if you do like a challenge or an event. You're like, we did X amount in sales. Everybody's like, hurrah. And then like the accounts receivable gets swept under the rug because like nobody actually wants to think about the fact that half of that cash isn't real. It's just like promised to be real at some point. So it's definitely not it's not a glorious department in finance. It's not the funnest or the prettiest, but I put it on par, equal to the importance of your sales, your challenge. Like it's as important as that initial commitment from the customer, because you can sell all the products you want on payment plans, but if nobody ever actually pays that, then you're in the hole and you've not made money, you've lost money. So if your failed transactions, your dispute departments inside finance are not, if nobody's paying attention to those, then you're shooting yourself in the foot, and it doesn't matter how great in sales you do if you never actually get the money in your pocket. So super important, but definitely not glorious, because it's tedious work. And sales guys love going out and chatting people's ears off and making a sale, but very rarely do they ever like the tedious work of following up on accounts. So I think it's incredibly important when it comes to failed transactions. We'll go through a few different options. I kind of want to style it the way Aaron did the other week on what are good free options, what are some good, mid-tier paid options, and then like the ultimate, like big boy, king of the hill option, if you're really a large size company. But Helium 10, interesting. That's good to know. I might put that on there and check it out. So let's kick it off with a free option. So we of course always advocate for Google. So can I share my screen? Is that allowed, Terryn?
Is it asking you to ask for permission?
It's asking me to ask.
Okay, permission granted.
Oh, thank you. So let's start off in the world of Google. Now, the first thing you have to determine is what are your CRM's capabilities in even reporting these failed transactions. I mean, that's the first place you have to start. Is your CRM also your payment gateway? Or do they process your payments? Or are you doing that separately? So that's the first place to start. Ideally, your CRM is handling those payments for you, those accounts. And so you can pull failed transaction reports straight from your CRM. If not, then you're talking about going into Stripe or going into PayPal or going into whatever credit card or credit processor you have and pulling those reports directly from there, which is a little bit more tedious because then you have to line those transactions up. Okay, what customer profile is this in my CRM? Also why we advocate trying to keep as many things under one roof as possible, because that sort of more robust reporting is super helpful. I know, Daryl, we were even talking about this just yesterday and using Square and Marshallytics separately, and how in the future it might actually be really a good idea to ditch Square and do everything in Marshallytics because they also process payments in there. This is one point where that would be really advantageous because guaranteed Marshallytics will report on failed payments for your people who are on, say, those monthly recurring subscriptions. And it's much easier to report on those failed payments or failed transactions straight out of your CRM than having to sort of find them in Square or Stripe or PayPal and then verify them against their profile in Marshallytics or Infusionsoft or Ontport or any other CRM. So that's really that's a good reason to have everything under one roof. So if you do have everything,
And before you continue, can we just you're skipping by this really quick, and I feel like this needs to be referenced. So you're telling me there is a martial arts specific CRM gateway solution?
Yes, I had no idea too. Daryl's wife, Daryl found it. His wife.
No, I did not. Well, I'm not even going to take credit because it'll get back to me. She found it. She found the program because I sent her something that one of my colleagues had found as far as a tracking program, and she found something that literally encompassed everything we needed, both martial arts, but it also scooped up my personal training and my yoga classes and my fitness classes all under the same roof.
Yeah, it looks slick for me. I haven't gotten to dive into it yet, but I know when he said Marshallytics, I was like, martial arts analytics in one. Yeah, and it actually looks really robust too. And I would say it'd be good even if you weren't maybe in martial arts, but even if you're any sort of gym owner or anything, it looks like a really sick CRM. And so yeah, I would. We're gonna see how robust it is if we put everything on the roof.
That's really cool.
Marshallytics.
That really goes to show that we were trying not to push you into one app specifically. We highlight the ones we've used, but anytime you're in a unique scenario, there might be something specific just for your scenario, like a martial arts CRM.
Yeah,
I had no idea.
Well, I think the other piece of it is, since I started working with you guys, it's pushed me to look at these things because prior to this, I think it would have been a lot harder for me to look for these things because I don't know what I'm looking for. So, talking through it and actually seeing what's out there in certain areas allowed me to do more research and specify and make sure that or look and see if there's something that's more relevant to what it is that I do as far as business goes. Yeah. So I appreciate that. I thank all four of you, or all three of you, minus Aaron, of course. Kimberly's just like, why?
Awesome. All right, Ben, sorry to derail you, but you glossed over that way too.
Marshallytics.
Too much.
Yeah, it looks cool. Anyways, so if you can keep everything under one roof, it'll make your life a lot easier, especially as you're growing business. And if you are if you're growing a lot and you're having a lot of those transactions come in, it's a lot of line items to be going through in this sort of free version. When you're having to merge steps on the back end, like pulling from your credit processor, then putting it in and trying to verify against your CRM, as much as you can, make it efficient for yourself by keeping everything under one roof. Okay, so So this is a report that we use for quite a few clients actually, and it's their accounts receivable report. And what we do is this is just a basic dashboard that they can, whoever is maybe head of finance department or accounts receivable department, can come in and just get a quick snapshot of what the accounts receivable looks like, what these failed transactions look like. And the way it works is somebody inside that department, one of our team a lot of times does this. I do this a lot. As what we'll do is we'll come into your CRM and pull those failed transaction reports week by week, and we do it every week in a set time. So every week you're getting an updated report on failed transactions, because if you've got multiple products that are being paid, say monthly, those are going to be, those monthly payments will have started at any number of days of the week. If you sell one product on Tuesday and you sell a different product on Thursday, well, that's 2 different monthly payments occurring within the month at the same time. So you want to be running something like this every week to be checking those. What we'll do is we'll pull just a line item or a report and we'll import it into here. And most CRMs or most processors will report on what it is. You have the name of your customer, their email, or any other contact info that you want, the product that they purchased or were meaning to purchase in that sense, the invoice total of that product. It's a $9.95 product. If it's a payment plan, maybe what their initial payment was. Say this is a $1,000 product and they're going to do 10 payments of $100, or whatever else your products might be. What they may have paid, and then their past due balance. Your past due balance can get confusing because a lot of people want to see, they look at, say, a payment plan, and if the payment's on time, it'll say that they have $895 more left to pay on that. That's not necessarily past due, because it's not like they missed a payment yet. That's just the future receivables, what's coming up next. This really kicks in if, say, they've not made any payment at all, or this was a monthly payment that was past due. Anything where they have supposed to have made a payment on X date and X date has passed, that then becomes their past due balance. In this case, this would have been maybe a failed new order, in the sense that they only paid $100 down on it, but they still have a remaining balance due of $895 because it was due on that exact date. So a couple of different ways of reporting this, and that is whether it is like this, a failed new order. Say I sell this product for $995. They pay $100 on one credit card, and they're going to pay the $895 on another credit card, but then they never do. That's now past due because the payment was due at that moment and they didn't pay it. The other method or version would be a failed payment plan. If this was their first payment and then a week later or months later, $895 was due and that month is passed, well, now it's past due. So we need to report on this. And the whole point of having this running document is not only having somebody who's reporting these failed payments, so you actually are aware of them, but then you also have another person or a follow-up person who's then going in and reaching out to these folks. That's the most important part, obviously, because the money is not there. You want somebody actively reaching out to those people, whether it's a call or an email, a text, whatever it may be. And that's where this section comes in here, where this person could say, I reached out to them, on April 2nd. I plan to reach out to them on April 15th, and any notes who that might be, and the name of the person who's running these transactions for you. Ideally, you want to run this, and another reason why this is important to run weekly is you want to capture these as quickly as possible. The longer out you get from this payment due date, the less likely that person is to actually pay their past due balance. I mean, it's just a rule of thumb in a sense. And this time elapsed sort of gives you that indication of how long. This is in days. So it's been 13 days since, maybe they should have made their payment. You want to be hitting them, within the first 2 weeks, the first week ideally, but within the first 2 weeks, because if they didn't make this payment, there's most often the reason is insufficient funds. Your processor tried to process that payment. It failed because they had insufficient funds. And so it never gets recorded. The longer that goes, 2 weeks out, 3 weeks out, 4 weeks out, the less likely you are to be able to convince that person, hey, you didn't have enough money then to pay for this. I need you to find the funds to pay for this. You go 1 month, 2 months out, that payment is out of their brain and it's out of their budget. And they've already, if they're on a budget, they no longer have that number even in their mind anymore. So you want to catch this as soon as possible while they still have within their budget this number in their mind. Because they were planning to pay it at some point, it just didn't work out. So capturing them as quickly as possible. You'll also, when it comes to accounts receivables and these failed transactions, you'll get, a lot of times people just don't want to pay anymore. They get buyer's remorse, and instead of having, going the route of trying to contact you to cancel, they're like, I don't want to have to talk to anybody. I feel bad about purchasing this and then going back on my word. I'm just going to not pay it. And those folks, you can reach out to them as much as possible, but at some point, they're just not going to, respond to your emails. They're not going to respond to your phone calls. They're not going to respond to you. That's just money off. And that's where you want to sort of get into the habit of getting into write-offs, which we'll talk about later too. If this person is just like, oh my gosh, I totally meant to pay that on a different credit card and I forgot to do that. I mean, that's the ideal customer. You call them and they're like, yes, I'll give you my credit card number now. Go ahead and put that payment in for me. Whoever's following up on this process can just drop in. I recapture that $895 amount. And I either got them to pay after I reached out to them, or maybe even they figured it out on their own and they were on top of the ball and they paid themselves before we even reached out to them. That's great too. Good to delineate that, because you can then have a success rate for whoever it is that's following up on all of these. The last thing you want to do is have lines of maybe failed transactions, and that poor person who's working them never gets like a, hey, good job, because you never know how well they're doing, because this is an intense process. Like, they're talking to people, they're calling people, they're emailing people, and that can be tiresome. And then every once in a while, it's nice to be able to go, hey, good job, you're getting all of these people to pay, after you reach out to them, which is great for you. And then you scroll down here to the bottom, you just have another little summary of what's going on in this. Your total outstanding for maybe a failed new order or a payment plan, or an invoice that was due that they didn't pay on, and then how those people are paying. The last bit of this is then if you can't get a hold of them, you can't get them to pay, then you have this section of, okay, we need to delete that order. Maybe it was a bad order. Maybe they accidentally purchased the product 5 times, only meant to purchase 1. So we'll delete a few of these. We'll write it off too, which we'll get to in a bit. But again, as the free version, it is a bit more intense because you're manually processing these. Again, that's why I say it's not the most glorious portion in the finance department. It's not the prettiest, but it's extremely important, and I think it takes a detailed eye, in my opinion. And as you go week by week, it's just a matter of duplicating this tab, renaming it to the following week, and continuing on adding in and removing names as they are paid, adding names as they fail on their payments, so on and so forth. Terryn, anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, I want to mention, if you are using Stripe, a lot of times they'll have the automated retries on failed transactions that you can set up. So when a transaction fails, it's not just lost and gone. It'll keep retrying the same transaction every 2 or 3 days for however long. We've had some that have been set up for a month. It's like every 3 days for a month, it retries this monthly subscription transaction. And then on the other side too, you have, if your CRMs are smart enough, automated emails that go out. So when a transaction does fail, they get an email right away, so that you don't have to call people right away. You've got the emails knocking down. The people that actually will take care of it themselves will respond to that email, update their payment information, do whatever they need to in that email that's directing them to their own portal, and take care of that payment themselves. So then your person reaching out is reaching out to people that wouldn't have paid either way, whether they got the email or not.
Yeah, that's a good point. A lot of those, you'll see maybe their payment will fail, and they pop up on your failed payments report, and you toss them in here because you're doing it the same day. And then they get that automated email and they go, oh shoot, and then they go in a payment, and the following week when you pull this report again, their name's gone because they took care of it themselves, which that's great. I mean, if it were a perfect world, that would happen all the time. Unfortunately, it's not. But,
yeah, and you see if you're like working on this solution here, you want to pay somebody internally to work on this, you can see the value of it add up pretty easily. Like they collect 2-3 payments in a week. They've paid for all their work for that week.
Yep.
And that's payments you wouldn't have collected otherwise. And I've seen people give initiative commissions to AR peeps saying, you know, we'll give you 1% of every dollar you collect that's past due. And so that then gives them even more initiative to do more outreach attempts. And 1% might not sound like a lot, but you know, it can add up quickly. If you collect $1,000, it's $10, but if you collect $100,000 over a month, you know, $100, these things can add up if you got higher tickets items.
For sure. And guaranteed it would be that is the cheaper route using this free version, even giving that percentage to one of your internal team members who you're already paying hourly. That's going to be the cheaper route than, you know, going to the next tier of a paid version or a third party, because they're going to take a larger percentage of that. Which great segue me into our next section of those third party management systems. So there's a couple out there that are good ones. Barometrics is more of a reporting platform that will report very well for you on these failed charges. They actually do a really good job of making it not so blinding in the amount of data that you see in the way that they formatted their user interface. If you do have a lot of failed charges, if you're talking about 50 lines of information, your eyes can get a little cross-eyed after a while. And they do a really good job of reporting that and letting you know where your payments are going. They also report really well on your subscriptions that are up to date or your payment plans that are up to date. So they're a really good platform. Another one we've heard a lot about is Gravy. And I was hoping, Kimberly, you could talk on Gravy for a second, how well they work for you guys, if they're priced pretty fairly, if they've got a really good success rate or not. Hopefully, I would hope they have a good success rate.
Yeah, so full transparency, I don't know what we're paying them, but I can tell you what they've retained for us. When we first started like getting numbers from them, there was a little bit of just like housekeeping, you know, as if like any third party that you bring on, there's like some housekeeping and some just like figuring out our point of contact and how we're going to talk with people. And we ended up doing like a Slack channel thing with the representative from that company. And that worked really well for us because we use Slack a lot. And so our very first month, they were able to retain, let's see, that was I'm looking at my scorecard right now. So in March, the very first one that we have reporting on, they were able to retain over $14,000 for us, which was 49.25% of what we gave them, which is amazing. And then, and this is so like bi-weekly. So, by the middle of March, they were up to 68.8%, which is even better. And then here we're looking at the 12th of April was the last reporting I had from them. And they were able to retain $9,500 so far this month. And we're looking at an 82.9 recovery rate. So that's like almost everything we're sending them, right? So they're really great at what they do. And if it is something that, you know, your budget allows to incorporate a third party team in that, I feel like they're most certainly going to pay for themselves. Otherwise, how else would they be able to stay in business, right? Like they have to pay for themselves and they have to also make it a benefit for you that you're actually getting some money back. So that's awesome. And then one more thing I just wanted to add to that as far as like payment retention. One thing, if you have like a course or subscription type thing, make sure that you have a solid offboarding process for those people who just don't want to respond and like don't want to continue payments. Otherwise, like if they have access into your Facebook group or all these things are happening, it's not really fair for the people who are continuing their payments if they're not quickly offboarded. So just making sure that that's dialed in, and you can certainly do that internally and assign somebody to make sure that people get offboarded properly so that everyone is, working in high integrity.
Yeah, that's a great point. Hopefully, especially if you're in the online course world, hopefully your CRM, you can build automations into if they have a failed payment after X amount of times the payment fails, they immediately lose access. Or I know with Infusionsoft, one of our clients, we have a task set up so that if their payment fails, one of the team members gets a notification to remove them from a Facebook group. So it happens quickly, because otherwise, yeah, you've got people in there who are like, I haven't been paying for 3 months. This is great. and it just kind of spirals because people start realizing, oh, I don't have to actually pay for this anymore. I could just stop paying and I still get all the benefits. That's a really great point. 80% is freaking great too. I know with a lot of these, especially these third party or outside retention guys, they'll say, we take 30% of however much we retain for you, we take 40%, we take 50%. That to a lot of business owners could be like, hey, I'm not going to give away 40% of my cash to you or 50% of my cash to you. That's ridiculous. But you also have to look at it in the light of the fact that you wouldn't have gotten that anyways. So giving 40% of a payment to another company makes sense, because without that, you're either, if you sell a product for $1,000 and they keep say 400, you get to keep 600. That's $600 more than you would have ever gotten. So it makes sense to have somebody working on these payment retentions for you if you're selling enough high ticket items and your gross is large enough to be worth it, to be needed to be moved up from this free version. If you can keep it internal, that's great. But if you're selling, hundreds of thousands of tickets of products, different price points, you can only have so many internal team members doing that before either they run out of time, they run out of brain power, or you have to hire on as many internal team members as it would take to pay, say, one of these third-party processors. And so then you go, okay, I'll outsource that because I'm going to be paying my team, but I'd rather use my internal team on some other finance aspect, maybe on disputes or something. But getting back 60% more than I would have gotten ever to begin with is still a great deal. Doesn't mean you should take, the first third party you come across. You'll definitely look for good rates. I'd be curious as to what Gravy's rate is. But I think it's good to not get stuck on the fact that, oh, I'm losing 40% of my revenue to this third party. No, you're gaining 60% more revenue than you ever would have gotten. So that's what I would call sort of the mid tiers, and then we bump up to the king of all, debt collectors, professional collection services. This is the ultimate end all be all. This is apparently a debt collector in my area. So welcome to the Tri-Cities. This is our lovely bridge, our landmark in the background. That's what we're known for right there.
A bridge.
Yeah, good old blue bridge. This is sort of the end all be all because it's going to cost you a lot more, for one. B, if you've ever dealt with a collections agency like I have in the past for not returning library books, library DVDs, I should say, as a dumb 16-year-old, they're not nice. So you do lose a bit of your brand going through a collection agency, because if you have a very welcoming brand, if you have a very customer forward brand who really embraces the customer, and then the minute that customer doesn't pay, you send them to a debt collector, and that debt collector says, pay now or we garnish your wages. Like that's you lose a bit of your brand in that. So a lot of people are hesitant to go this route, but what you do get with these professional collection services is you get a lot of legal backing. They're licensed professionals. They have the ability to go after that payment, and if they can't get that payment, then go through like wage garnishment or any sort of lawsuit to get that payment for themselves, they will of course take a larger percentage of that collected payment. So this, I would really say that this is where you're running like extremely high ticket items. You're making a lot of sales, pulling in a lot of revenue, and you're just like, you know what, I don't want to beat around the bush. I don't want to do it internally. I don't want to have to mess with another third party. I want these people to know either they pay me or somebody else gets the money from them some other way. But like I said, it comes with its pros and cons. I would definitely say this would be my last option personally. I would tier up just like everything else. If my customers are great customers and, you know, sometimes they just forget, I'm going to definitely stick with the free version because that's my team member who knows my brand, who knows how my company works, talking to a customer who they may have, if they're, you know, talked to before, if they come into like say a customer experience section. So this would be a great way. Then you can move on to the third party. If you're growing, they'll work with your brand. I'm guessing, you know, if you guys probably haven't had any problems, Kimberly, with Gravy on, you know, harassing your customers too much or, you know, sort of putting them off towards your brand. And then, yeah, I would use this, you know, as the final option in that sense. Any comments, questions?
Yeah, I mean, collections is the big, like, collections. It's not just Gravy where they're trying to recover your payments. Gravy isn't going to ding somebody's credit score if they don't pay them.
Yeah.
Collections is like, okay, 6 months later, this guy that purchased $10,000 something product from you still owes $7,000. You've delivered on all these things. You need to get your money's worth because they're taking advantage of you. Let's give it to collections.
Yep.
And sometimes the scare tactic is working too. Like your final communications to them, hey, we're going to give your account to a collections company if you don't resolve this with us. And then you can also send letters. The collection companies will send letters in your name, but with their headers. So they can look them up and see the real collections companies before they go into hard collections, being kind of warning them too, like, hey, this company has given us your account. If you don't reconcile this, you're about to be moved into collections, which will negatively affect your credit score. And it's, you know, it's unfortunate. We have companies that do it because they need to keep the integrity of their products. We have companies that don't do it because they don't want to do that to their customer base. So it's different on different companies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it really depends on the company that you are and the product you sell.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was my next question. So we have subscription. Well, yeah, we have a subscription service. We have like a higher ticket offer or two that we do offer payment plans on. And so Gravy's been great with all those. But there's one actually just kind of message from Trudy. We've been talking about this one. So we have a product that is a service that once it's delivered, like you have your thing, right? And it's an idea. So it's like you've been given the idea, you've been given the stuff, and it's delivered in like a beautiful like PDF thing. So it's yours.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't offer a payment plan on that product when we sell that product, but we do offer it as an upsell onto one of our higher ticket offers. And that upsell has a payment plan. So it's like, hey, you can do this thing and it can cost you this much a month. But if you want to add this to it, then it's only going to cost you like $180 more a month. And so a lot of people love that and they take that offer, but that's also, that price point is also the one that we have the most failed payments on. It's our lowest price point. So we're kind of running into an issue right now where it's like people have, they started off great. They're making their payments. They got their idea as part of the package and now they're not making payments. And it's like, okay, well, let's pull that idea, let's offboard them. And maybe we can put that idea back over here that we can, you know, regenerate. But how do we know that they haven't already used it and that it's not going to cause a conundrum, you know, like in the Facebook group, if it's like, hey, you know, that's my product idea and that was given to me by so-and-so. And even though they didn't pay. And so it's like, is there a situation where like you have Gravy and they're awesome for payment retention, but maybe on certain products or certain offers, you have a little bit more of a heavier collection thing going on?
Yeah, I mean, I would use both. Like gravy is going to be 1 to, right away up to a couple months. You don't want to send somebody collections until it's been a few months.
Yeah.
You want to exhaust your possibilities. And you really want to send people there you have signed contracts for, that they can then hold up against them in case of arbitration, or people can dispute collections. So they can hold something against your customer and then say, listen, this is a legit collections account we've received from this company. You have owed them this much money from this date. So use the power of both, and then make sure you got signed agreements, especially if you're delivering a product before it's been paid for, so that you can show they have signed off on agreement and you both are supposed to uphold your end of the agreement. You upheld yours, they did not uphold theirs because they stopped paying.
I love that. And we do have a contract around that, but it's really on our side, like our 10K payday guarantee. It's really like on us. So like if you do the things and follow the steps, then if it doesn't work, then we're gonna like refund you that money back because we believe it's gonna work. And we feel like it's a good agreement, but it would be really wise for us to add that in there on the payment plan option, or any of them, that it's just, it's absolutely like, it's not refundable and it's got to be paid for, whatever that looks like in legal jargon.
Yeah.
I would also take the opportunity, this isn't as much, well, I mean, it's still a failed transaction. Take the opportunity to look at your product stack. And especially if you have a report like this, where you can see time lapsed on transactions, sort it by product and see if is there a trend in, like, it seems to be that whenever we sell this product, people stop paying at 4 months, like across the board. Like for some reason, people pay for the first 4 months, and after that 4th month, they just stop paying. And I would take that and really look at your product stack and say, okay, what are we offering and what are we saying, or how is this product lined out? So like after 4 months, they either feel like they got their fill, I got all the product I need, I don't need it anymore, I'm gonna stop paying. Or maybe I only paid up to 4 months because I was waiting to get this one product that hits at the 4 month mark. Now that I got it, I'm out. Like, take the time to evaluate how your products are lined up and how your price point is lined up. Maybe your demographic of your customers, really all they can afford is maybe 4 months of $9.95. And they're really excited about your product and they love your brand, they love your company. So they're like, yes, I'll totally pay 12 payments of $9.95. Month 4 hits and they go, oh, this is way on my budget. I'm in over my head. Oh God, what did I do? I can't pay anymore. So look at how your products are offered, and then also look at the price point of those products in relation to what your demographic is. If you're selling 35K course plans to 15-year-olds, that's not going to work. Like, you might get a bunch of 15-year-olds on board for that first payment of $100, but you lose them all the next month. So it's kind of a dance that you have to do with your sales team, with your product team, with the people who are working out these payment plans, subscription plans, whatever it may be, online courses or gym memberships. You have to really take a look at your demographic, who you're trying to sell to, how much you think they actually have to pay for these products. Because every visionary and every salesperson and everybody who's on the front line of the sales team is always going to say they'll find a way to pay because they love our product so much. Our product is so great. It's an awesome product, and it may be, but there is a little bit of reality on the back end where you go, okay, but let's look at the people we're selling to. Do we actually think that they're going to follow through with these payments? I don't think so. I've got data that says all these failed transactions happen right around the 5 month mark. So we should tailor our product, maybe our price point, to that. That's just another one-off for you.
Yeah, and don't be scared to not give full access to things on people with payment plans. We see that a lot. People say, okay, you are on a payment plan, and also call it a convenience fee, not a finance fee. I just learned that one this month, because finance fee can be a little too much of a legal term. So you can say, we've given you the convenience of paying this product off over time, but we can't uphold the same integrity as we would to the people who bought it in full and give you access to everything. So you'll get access to this at this time and this at this time. And that really helps you keep your product yours and the integrity of people who do pay in full and are getting the same thing as somebody who may make one payment and then fall off the map and are just running away laughing about how they paid 10% for something other people paid 100% for.
Yeah, I paid 10% and I downloaded all the videos that you gave me, saved them to a hard drive, and now they're mine. See ya.
Well, that
Mhm.
makes total sense because our coaching program is 4 months.
Mhm.
And so you go through, you get your product idea, you get coached for 4 months, and you feel like, okay, I got this. And maybe you crunch ahead the launching section or something and take some notes, or maybe you get lifetime access, which is like $100 or something like that, and then it's like, okay, I think I'm good. I don't need to keep paying this. And so that makes total sense. And we're definitely going to look at that and see if we can tailor what we're offering. It would be so cool if like we could just unlock certain, like we have 4 phases. It'd be so cool if we could like
Mhm.
unlock certain phases per like the payment plan.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and if you need to remove the 12 pay because your program is 4 months long, then you can let people know that on the sales page. It's like, listen, this is a 4-month program. We can offer you a 4 pay because this is what best serves our customers. This is what gets them results the quickest is within these 4 months. So we can offer you a 4 pay to help you accelerate or the convenience of paying over time. But you won't be able to offer a 12 pay because it's a 4-month program.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, if I'm a customer and it's a 4-month program and I've got a 12-month payment option, I'm out of there after 4 months. Like, and I consider myself a pretty honest person, but after 4 months, I'd be like, wait, what am I still paying this for? I already got everything I needed. I'm out. See ya.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, that's where collections agency comes in. Okay, the last piece I wanted to hit on, these failed transactions, is not being afraid to write them off. You can go pretty in depth when it comes to writing off these failed transactions. If you've thrown the book at them, everything you've tried, and you still can't get that payment, outside of going with the collections agency, because then you're actually handing it off to them. Writing off this as a bad business debt can have some really good IRS benefits for you. There's quite a few loopholes that you have to, not loopholes, but hoops you have to jump through when it comes to being able to declare this a bad business debt to the IRS and writing it off as a bad business debt, because to get the tax break on the back end. But if you jump through those hoops, it's contractual hoops that contracts that the customer has to sign. You have to basically prove to the IRS that you've exhausted your resources in trying to collect this transaction. If you've got 50 transactions, maybe $1,000 products, and you've got 50K of failed transactions, if you can write those off and you can show that to the IRS as a bad business debt and get your business a bit of a tax break on the year end, that's fantastic. You're never going to see that money. You've tried everything you can, at least trying to get your company or your business some sort of tax break to say, look, we've got bad business debt we need to write off. What can we do about this? So don't be afraid of the write-off. It's an intensive process for sure. I would recommend doing a lot of research into it, but if you can't reconcile this cash at all, at least reconcile the pain for your company in some other way. Again, not very pretty, but if you can bring those metrics back to your finance department head or your visionary, your ops manager, you'll make them very happy. All right, disputes. The next fun one, disputes. So the customer has paid and they decided they wish they hadn't paid, or in one of the most often cases, it's a fraudulent payment. The customer says, hey, I don't recognize this payment that's on my credit card. Where did this come from? Even though I've been in all of your courses and classes for the last 6 months, I didn't recognize the payment that started all that. Fraudulent payments are one of the biggest ones we see when it comes to disputes, customers disputing a payment, or they were owed a refund and didn't receive one. That's probably the second most popular one. Third most is they didn't receive a product. In the online world, that didn't receive a product is definitely more gray because the product is a digital product. That's not like, if they come into Daryl's gym, they can't be like, I never walked in there. He's like, I saw you on the security camera yesterday. Brick and mortar, it's much easier to say, yeah, I dropped the package off at your house, you received it. Digital world, they can say, sorry, I never got the email, or it was the wrong email address or something like that. So when it comes to disputes, it's again, just like your failed transactions, good to have a really robust system or protocol in place. There's a few, when it comes to the free option sense of this, we have a dispute protocol that we put in place for a lot of our clients. And any credit processor you have, whether it's Stripe or whether it's PayPal, any other payment platform will have a section inside their dashboard that you can go to find all of the payments that customers have disputed with their bank. And what you want to do on this sort of do-it-yourself version is go in, find the reasons for the dispute, because they'll always list the reason. And Stripe is really good about giving you a basically rundown of like, okay, if the customer is saying this is a fraudulent payment, here's what you need to give us. If the customer is saying this is should have been a refunded payment, here's what you need to give us. We sort of highlight here in these sections, this is pretty in depth, but it really boils down to pulling together your evidence, taking screenshots of contracts, sending copies of contracts, screenshots of, in the digital world, did that person log into their platform? Can I get an IP address from that? Can I screenshot all of this, put it into a document and say, here's where the customer purchased. Here's the customer's contract. Here's their signature. Here's the customer when they logged into their platform. Here's their IP address. Here's the date they logged in. Here's how many times they logged in. Here's another product from us that they purchased. So they know it's not fraudulent because they purchased another product from us with the same credit card. They've logged into our site. So you want to collect all of those into one document, ship it back to your Stripe, your PayPal, whatever payment processor it is, and they'll then take that to the customer's bank that's disputing the charge and say, look, we have evidence that this customer accessed these, they purchased things, they have previous purchase payments with the client. So fraudulent doesn't work, sorry. Or maybe your terms of service, if it's a digital product, you have very clear terms of service on your order page that you say you must read these before you order, and inside the terms of service says no refunds allowed. If you have that, you can send that. The customer has to sign that. That's another great way to get out of the, I should have gotten a refund, but I never got it. So this could be very in-depth. When it comes to a protocol around this, I recommend, just like with your failed transactions, every week you're checking these, because a lot of times those payment processors don't give you a huge window. Like you've got 2 weeks maybe to respond to this dispute and provide your evidence. Otherwise, if you don't respond, the bank says, sorry, it's our money now, it goes straight back to the customer. So if you miss that, and that's a $3,000 payment the customer is disputing because they think it was fraudulent, and you're not checking that, if you don't respond, the bank automatically takes it by default and you're out that $3,000 again. So having somebody who's on top of this weekly, checking these, because they'll always come in, just like failed transactions, it'll always happen no matter what. So it's good to be on top of this. And as they're working through this, you want to also track, what their success rate is. So here's another example of what we do with a client when it comes to their disputes. This is from 2021. And this lists out, a payment, a dispute, the customer paid on X date. A month later, they decided that that was fraudulent. And so it was the amount of $99. We respond. Unfortunately, the bank said, sorry, don't accept your evidence, not good enough. We're awarding it in the favor of the customer. Or, you have another one where our evidence was strong enough, and we won that dispute. It's great to have something like this where you can track a success rate for whoever's working on this, which in this case was me, and I feel very good about an almost 50% success rate. The unfortunate thing about disputes is they very often weigh heavy in the favor of the customer. You do need to put up a lot of really solid evidence to sway the customer's bank, because they're always going to be in favor of their customer, their client. So you have to really show to them that, no, your customer came to me, purchased something from me, asked for it from me. I gave it to them, and now they are disputing. If it is legitimate, for example, if that customer had their credit card stolen and then they decided to purchase this, then that's fine, not a big deal. You should be able to find that in your evidence, and you can even accept the dispute. You can say, you know what, this was fraudulent. I can see it. I've never seen this customer before. I'm going to accept that. But in most cases, that's not what's going on. not to be a cynic about the human race, but in most cases, these disputes, a fraudulent dispute isn't actually fraudulent. So you kind of need to be on your toes when it comes to going through these.
Or they're not coming online to buy a course with a stolen credit card. They're doing other better things with a stolen credit card.
Yeah, exactly.
They're gonna get a flat screen TV from Amazon.
The same with the failed transactions. There's a few companies out there, more than a few companies out there that you can find, third-party companies that will run this for you. I did, instead of going through those all, I did find a pretty good article here on chargeback management software companies and tools. So I'm going to drop that in the chat real quick. You can always check that out. There's a variety of higher paid versions, mid-tier versions that you can run and check out if you're wanting to scale up from this do-it-yourself version. Hopefully, if you've got solid contracts in place, if you've got solid terms of service in place, you're not getting a substantial amount of these disputes. You'll notice that a lot of these disputes come in right after you do a big challenge or do a big event, or you have a big event at your gym, or you sell a bunch of products from new product launch. You'll see these come in, but hopefully you're keeping these low. But if they do get out of hand, a third-party management system might be advantageous. Also, if you're selling high ticket items, $1,000, $2,000, $4,000, $5,000 items, where you're like, look, I want somebody else to handle this because I'm only at 50% win rate. If I can get that up to 90% and I'm retaining those $5,000 chunks, $4,000 chunks, it could be worth it. I'm going to cut it off there because we're almost out of time.
Sweet. So the importance of disputes is they will actually affect your worthiness with the payment gateways. So like if you're using Stripe and your dispute percent starts creeping up, which is the percent of disputes based on your total transactions, they can kick you out of Stripe. They might even keep your money and say you're not a legit company. So it's important. And that's whether or not you win the dispute. That's just if a dispute happens at all. So that's why it's important just to make sure that if there is a trend in your disputes, why and how do I take care of that so that they don't get disputed in the first place?
Yeah,
you might have a fulfillment problem.
Sorry to cut you off. I was just gonna say, you'll notice they'll actually start holding more of your funds inside for extended periods of time. Your dispute rates hit 30%. We're gonna hold an extra $4,000 inside your account so we can refund it if that's the case. So you lose access to your funds over time, or being able to transfer your funds out of that if you have more and more disputes going in.